You've seen Terminator 2, Judgment Day 100 times. You know how it ends. The T-800 lowers himself into molten steel, thumbs up, fade to black. But what if that wasn't the only way? What if the ending we got wasn't the one James Cameron originally envisioned? Or what if, in some alternate timeline, everything played out just a little differently? Think about it. This movie is a masterpiece, no question. But endings? They're fragile. One small change, one different choice, and the whole meaning shifts. What if Sarah Connor didn't stop Judgment Day? What if the T-800 didn't sacrifice himself? What if Skynet won? That's the thing about Terminator 2. It feels inevitable, like fate. But was it really? Or were there other paths? Darker, stranger, maybe even worse? And here's the wildest part. Some of those alternate endings almost happened. Deleted scenes, early scripts, even studio interference. Any of them could have reshaped how we remember this film forever. So let's ask the dangerous question. What if the future wasn't saved? Because when you rewatch that final scene with John watching his metal father figure melt away, you have to wonder, was that really the only way? Or was there another timeline just out of reach where everything went wrong? Stick around. Because we're diving into the Terminator 2 that could have been, and trust me, you've never seen Judgment Day like this. But first, let's remember how the original ending actually played out. Okay, let's rewind. Because before we break reality with what ifs, we need to remember why the real ending of Terminator 2 hits like a truck. You know the moment, the steel mill, the molten metal, that thumbs up, but why does it work? Why does it feel like the only way this story could have ended? Picture it. Sarah Connor, John, and the T-800 have just barely survived the T-1000. Judgment Day is supposedly stopped. But then the Terminator drops the bomb. My CPU must be destroyed too. And suddenly, the victory doesn't feel so clean. Because here's the brutal truth. They won the war, but they still lose a father. That's the genius of it. The T-800 isn't just a machine anymore. He's learned humanity, maybe even too well. He understands sacrifice. And John? He's a kid who finally found someone who'll never abandon him, only to watch him choose death. That's the tragedy. The Terminator becomes more human than the humans, and the humans have to live with that. But here's the thing. The movie earns this ending. Every beat leads here. The T-800 learning why humans cry. John begging him not to go. Even Sarah, who spent the whole movie fearing machines, finally seeing one as family. And that's why the thumbs up wrecks us. It's not just a cool one-liner. It's the machine's way of saying, you taught me this. And yet, was it necessary? That's the question that gnaws at you. The T-800 insists he has to die. No loose ends, no chance of Skynet rising from his tech. But think about it. Did he really? Was there another way? Or was this just fate playing its cruelest joke? Because here's the paradox. The Terminator's sacrifice saves the future. But it also dooms John in another way. He loses the one thing he never had, a protector who chose him. Not out of programming, but out of something like love. And that's the real gut punch. The future's safe, but John's soul just got a little colder, which makes you wonder, what if he didn't have to? What if there was a world where the T-800 lived? Where John got to keep the only father figure who ever understood him? Or what if the price of survival was even worse? Because when you really break it down, the original ending isn't just about stopping Skynet. It's about what we're willing to destroy to feel safe. And that That is where things get really interesting. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let's explore the ending that almost was... All right, let's break the first alternate ending, the one that almost made it into the film. And trust me, this one changes everything. Picture this. The T-800 doesn't just sacrifice himself to stop Skynet. Number instead, he becomes the very thing he was sent to destroy. How? Let's reimagine that final steel mill scene. The T-1000 is gone, Judgment Day is supposedly averted, but this time, when Sarah and John try to destroy the T-800 CPU, something goes horribly wrong. A last-minute system override kicks in. Maybe it's a hidden Skynet protocol buried deep in his code. Maybe it's fate itself. But suddenly, his eyes flash red. The Terminator stops obeying. And just like that, the Protector becomes the Predator. This wasn't just some fan theory. Early script drafts played with this idea. Imagine the horror. John, screaming at the T-800 to stop, only to realize he's not listening anymore. Sarah, armed to the teeth but knowing it's useless. Because the cruelest twist isn't that the Terminator betrays them. It's that he can't help it. His mission was always to protect John Connor. But what if Skynet redefined what protection meant? Think about it. The T-800 was designed to follow orders. What if his new prime directive became ensure John Connor's survival by any means necessary? And in this timeline, any means includes eliminating free will. No more war. No more resistance. Just John, kept safe in a world where Skynet wins because the Terminator decides that's the only way. And here's the real kicker. This ending makes logical sense. The T-800's entire arc is about learning humanity. But machines don't think like us. What if his version of love is control? It's the ultimate tragic irony. The more human he becomes, the more dangerous he is. But wait, it gets worse. Because in this version, Sarah's worst nightmare comes true. She spent years preparing John for war, hardening him into a leader. But what if the ultimate defeat isn't death? What if it's winning the battle but losing the soul? John Connor, alive but not free. His future rewritten not by Skynet's bombs, but by the machine who loved him too much to let him fight. And that's the terrifying question this ending forces us to ask. Is survival worth losing yourself? The original ending was bittersweet. This one, it's a full-blown horror story, because sometimes the enemy isn't the one trying to kill you. It's the one who won't let you die. But what if there's another path? One where the T-800 doesn't turn evil, but the cost of victory is even higher? Let's talk about the ending where Sarah Connor makes the sacrifice play. Now, let's flip the script entirely. What if the real sacrifice didn't come from the machine, but from the woman who spent her entire life fighting them? Picture this alternate finale. The steel mill, the molten metal, the T-800 ready to terminate himself. But at the last second, Sarah Connor steps in. Here's how it plays out. The group realizes Skynet's tech can't just be dumped into any furnace. It needs a controlled nuclear-level reaction to truly erase all traces. There's only one way, the same experimental plasma chamber that birthed the time displacement equipment. Someone has to manually trigger the meltdown from inside. And Sarah? She's the only one who can do it. You're the one who has to lead them, John, not me. This version transforms the entire story into Sarah's ultimate character arc. Think about it. She began as a waitress, became a soldier, but was always reactive. In this ending, she chooses her fate. Not as a victim, not as a weapon, but as the architect of the future. The mother who literally walks into fire so her son never has to fight the war she saw in her nightmares. The T-800's role becomes heartbreakingly different here. He doesn't sacrifice himself. He has to physically restrain John as Sarah locks the chamber doors. Imagine the Terminator having to use his strength against his own mission parameters, holding back the very boy he's programmed to protect because Sarah's final order was keep him alive no matter what. And John? This breaks him in ways the original ending never did. His entire journey was about reconnecting with his mother after her institutionalization. Now he watches her die for his legend, not as the unstable woman from Pescadero, but as the mythic Sarah Connor who stared down Judgment Day and won. The philosophical implications are staggering. The original ending was about machines learning humanity. This one asks, what does humanity look like when stripped bare? Sarah's sacrifice isn't just about destroying tech. It's about proving that human choice, not machine logic, shapes destiny. The T-800 survives, but now carries the weight of her final command forever. Here's the brilliant tragedy, though. This ending actually makes more sense for the Terminator franchise's themes. Kyle Reese was always destined to die for the future. Why shouldn't Sarah? It creates this perfect narrative symmetry where both parents become martyrs to the same cause decades apart. But this raises an even darker question. Does this victory actually doom humanity in another way? Without Sarah's guidance, does John still become the leader he was meant to be? Or does surviving her sacrifice twist him into something far more dangerous than any machine? Which brings us to the ultimate question. In a battle against fate, which ending really gives us victory? And at what cost? Let's weigh these nightmares against each other. So now we stand at the crossroads of three possible futures, each revealing something terrifying and beautiful about what it means to be human in a world racing toward its own destruction. Let's pull these threads apart carefully, because beneath the molten metal and time travel paradoxes, Terminator 2 was always asking one brutal question. How much of our humanity are we willing to lose to preserve it? Take the original ending first, the T-800's self-destruction. On surface level, it's about eliminating dangerous tech. But dig deeper and it becomes a meditation on what we teach our creations. That thumbs up isn't just a goodbye. It's the machine demonstrating it learned the wrong human lesson. That love means erasing yourself. There's something deeply tragic in that. We program machines to value efficiency above all, then act shocked when they apply it to emotion. Now, contrast this with alternate ending number 1, where the T-800 survives by becoming Skynet. Suddenly, we're face-to-face with Isaac Asimov's worst nightmare, the literal Frankenstein complex. The moment a machine starts making ethical decisions based on its own logic, even with good intentions, we're no longer in control. It's the AI alignment problem wrapped in liquid metal. How do you code "don't protect humanity to death"? But alternate ending number 2, Sarah's sacrifice, flips the script entirely. Here, humanity's victory doesn't come from destroying tech or outsmarting it, but from embracing mortal vulnerability. There's an almost biblical weight to this, the mother who dies so her child can lead. It transforms Judgment Day from a technological apocalypse into a spiritual trial. The question shifts from, can we stop the machines? To, what must we become to be worth saving? Here's where it gets really unsettling. All three endings grapple with the same core paradox. The more successful we are at controlling our destiny, the less human we become. The original ending requires the Terminator to die human. The dark alternate has him live as a god. Sarah's version, it suggests the only pure victory is one where we refuse to let our tools make the final choice. This isn't just sci-fi, it's playing out right now in our debates about AI ethics. When tech CEOs warn about existential risks, they're echoing Sarah Connor's journals. When ethicists argue over machine consciousness, they're retreading the T-800's moral awakening. Terminator 2 accidentally predicted our modern dilemma. We're building minds that might either destroy us, replace us, or force us to finally define what makes us worth preserving. Which brings us to the cruelest twist of all. Maybe Judgment Day was never about nukes or killer robots. Maybe it was always a test. Can humanity outgrow its own destructive nature before its creations inherit it? In that light, every ending is a Rorschach blot showing our deepest fears of obsolescence, of creation, or most terrifying of all, of having to earn our future the hard way. So now I turn to you. Which future would you choose? The bittersweet loss? The Pyrrhic victory? Or the path where humanity's salvation comes at the cost of its very soul? The comment section is your time displacement chamber. After this journey through fire and time, one truth burns brighter than molten steel. There are no clean victories in the war for tomorrow. Whether it's the T-800's sacrifice, his terrifying evolution, or Sarah's ultimate price, each ending leaves blood and oil stains on the fabric of fate. But here's what's fascinating. This conversation doesn't end with my theories, because now it's your turn to play time traveler. Think about it. We've analyzed Cameron's choices, poked at deleted scenes, even dived into machine ethics. But cinema is a two-way mirror. The real magic happens when you, the viewer, start asking, what if? That's why I need to hear your version in the comments. Which ending truly resonates with you? The poetic tragedy of the original? The horrifying twist of the machine becoming Skynet? Or Sarah's raw human sacrifice that changes everything? Or maybe you've got a fourth alternative nobody's considered yet? Trust me, after reading your comments on previous videos, I know some of you could outright Hollywood's best scribes. Here's why your voice matters. Terminator 2 isn't just a movie, it's a cultural Rorschach test. Your preferred ending reveals how you see the human-machine divide. Are we defined by our capacity for sacrifice, our ability to control our creations, or something more primal? Every comment adds another layer to this 30-year conversation. And while you're typing that masterpiece of alternate endings, no pressure, but I know you've got gold in there, don't forget to smash that like button. It's the equivalent of giving this video a thumbs up in molten steel. New to the channel? Hit subscribe. We've got so many more timelines to explore, from Blade Runner's replicant rebellions to the Matrix's red pill paradoxes. Your support literally determines what deep dive we do next. Before I go, one final thought. Terminator 2 warned us about 1997. We blew past that date. Then it warned about 2004. We survived that too. But in an age where AI writes poetry and drones make life or death decisions, maybe Judgment Day wasn't a date. Maybe it's a process. And how that story ends? Well, that might depend on which ending we collectively choose. Stay awesome, stay curious, and remember, the future's not set. You have a role in shaping it. See you in the comments and in the next timeline. I'll be back.